Welcome to another Foundations video where we're going to talk about playing to click. And this is a topic that a lot of drummers find really frustrating. And in this video, we're going to talk about why it's valuable. We're going to talk about the benefits of playing to click and why it's useful in your context. And then we're going to turn our attention to a couple of very practical principles that you can apply in your context to be even better at adhering to click. So the first question that is naturally raised is why play to click at all? What are the value? What is the benefit of playing to click? And the quick answer is it lessens sloppiness and improves band cohesion. A lot of guys will say, why don't we just follow the drummer? Can't he be our tempo accountability? And it sounds like a good idea until you consider that the drummer, no matter who they are, how long they've been playing, is not going to be able to adhere to click perfectly. And so what you've created is a situation where everyone is trying to follow the drummer as they increase and decrease in their tempo accountability, and everyone else is following. And so the ultimate product is sloppiness. And so instead of using a drummer, an imperfect tempo accountability, you use click, which will never change. It's very reliable. You can always count on it. It's not going to speed up or slow down. And so as the rest of the band tries to fall in line with click, it's a lot more tight, a lot more put together, and this ultimately yields a much more excellent product for your band. The second benefit to playing to click is it allows you to use guide in your sets, and it also allows you to ultimately use backing tracks, which we use in our context to help us fill out our sound and create a more excellent product, and it'll do the same for you, and none of that's possible without click. So as you start to think about playing to click versus not playing to click, you quickly realize that the benefits far outweigh the costs or the frustrations. And so now let's turn our attention to a couple principles that you can apply to get even better at playing to click. The first is this: start slow and work your way up. So start slow and then start to increase your speed as you go. I had the privilege several years ago of attending a drum clinic with a guy who had toured all around the world and played for some huge artists and played shows for thousands of people. And we had the privilege of learning from him. And he told us there's one secret that he uses, one exercise that he does every single night before he goes on stage that helps him play with discipline and helps him lock in with tempo. And we're going to demonstrate that exercise for you right now. So we finished the exercise and he looked at each of us and we were all sitting there waiting for his big conclusion, and he said this: it takes more skill to play fast, but it takes more discipline to play slow, and you need to develop both. And so it makes sense when you consider most drummers want to play faster. We want to speed up. And whenever you lower the BPM, everything in us says, this is wrong, I've got to play faster. And what ends up happening is we end up rushing in the song. And this isn't a matter of skill, this is a matter of discipline. And so in the same way that you want to sit down and work up the skill to be able to move your hands and your feet at the same time really, really quickly, right, building that skill, you also need exercises like this that'll help you build up the discipline that it takes to do the same thing slower. And this exercise will help you do that. So the second principle is to practice, practice, practice your fills. And so we're going to show you next an exercise that you can do that will help you do that better. This exercise will help you because it's unreasonable to assume that each drummer is going to plan or map out each and every fill that he's going to play each song in every single set. A lot of these moments, if not all of them, are moments where you're improvising. And so doing this exercise where you fit as many fills as possible all at once will allow you to practice even more fills. So in a moment where you're deciding or choosing what fill you're going to play, you can more confidently choose a fill that you've been able to practice. So that's why that can help you. The third principle is to simply set a good in-ear mix. So a lot of times drummers will stray as they adhere to click because they can't hear click, or they can't hear themselves, or maybe they can't hear the other instruments around them as well as they need to, and things are getting muddy and things are getting drowned out. And so setting a good in-ear mix where you can hear everything, including yourself, will help you adhere to click better. The next principle is to pan click slightly to the left or to the right. And this very simply will help you pick click out in your mix. So this obviously only works if you have a stereo in your mix. But if you do, this is very helpful and a really quick thing you can do if you're having trouble in any given moment. The next principle is to subdivide. So imagine that you're playing a really slow song and maybe your click is set to quarter notes. And so you're finding it really difficult for you to stay right on that click since there's so much time and space in between each reference. So what you might do is add in that eighth note so that you can more clearly, you've got a more consistent reference and you can adhere better to click. The next principle is to get the right click sound, and this goes back to being able to hear it and distinguish it better. A lot of guys will throw in very natural sounding click sounds or reference tools in their in-ears, and sometimes this can be hard to distinguish. It can be hard to pick out of your mix. So in our context, this is going to be a conversation that you initiate with your worship leader, and y'all find the right click sound that works for you so that you can clearly hear it and distinguish it so that you can play to it better. The next principle is to know where you're prone to wander. I'm this way, and I imagine that most drummers are prone to wander in moments of playing fills and moments of building. And what I found, at least for me, is in moments of building, I want to play faster because as we start to crescendo and as the band starts to get bigger in energy and volume, I start to want to play even faster and get to that climax and get into that full groove that I'm headed toward. And so I start to speed up. And in moments of fills, these are moments that I haven't practiced as much. And so they're a little bit unfamiliar to me. And so I tend to either speed up or slow down in moments of fills. But knowing that about myself will allow me to do two things. It'll allow me to practice those moments. And I would encourage you to do the same. So know where you're prone to wander and practice it. And then when you play those moments, really lock in and really listen to where's click when I'm building. I know I'm prone to wander, so I really need to lock in. I really need to listen. Don't just kind of wander mentally. Really lock in, really listen, so that in moments where you're prone to wander, you'll do a better job and you'll be able to lock in even better. The last principle is to minimize playing or practicing without any tempo accountability. And this kind of gets to the main idea of this, that playing to click is like building any muscle. And you need to practice it time and time again so that over time you can start to see progress. And that's my encouragement to you if you're someone who's maybe tried to play for years and you just haven't gotten it, or maybe it's been really frustrating to you as you feel like you failed. I want to encourage you that this is a game of incremental progress. And so what'll help you do that is to continue to practice with click. Practice with tempo accountability. That can be a click sound. It can also just be playing to a song. But if you sit down to practice all week long and you just fluctuate with tempo and you have no idea, you're speeding up, you're slowing down, you're just jamming all week long, and then you show up to your event, you show up where you're playing drums, and all of a sudden there's click, of course it's going to be frustrating. You haven't practiced with click. How can you expect to show up and play well with click? And so anytime you're practicing, anytime you sit down at a drum set, make sure that you've got some kind of tempo accountability so that you're ready in a moment where you need to do it. So continue to work on these principles. You do that being motivated by seeing the value of it, how it's beneficial to you, and then exercise it like a muscle. And the right combination of strategy and effort will have you seeing improvement almost immediately. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it was helpful to you. If you have any questions about playing to click, please feel free to email us at worship@grace-bible.org. We'll see you next time.